Welcome back to Food Adventures of a Comfort Cook. I'm Mary Kokenauer, and welcome to my kitchen once again. Today we're going to be making real Italian lasagna. And I mean lasagna where we're going to mix ricotta cheese and the mozzarella and the provolone. No cottage cheese. And don't you dare ever use cheddar. Cheddar is for mac and cheese. Okay? You don't put it in your Italian food. Okay, so now, to make lasagna, you need, of course, your noodles. Two types of noodles. You have your nice long wavy kind, look really pretty. And then you've got your oven ready, which is kind of flat. This is Barilla. They make a good oven ready lasagna. Now, can you use lasagna noodles that don't say oven ready? Yes, you can. Else they may have to cook a little longer in the pan, but you can still use them. I don't like using the noodles that you have to cook in the water, and then, first of all, a lot of water, retains a lot of water. Even though you drain them, it's going to make your cheese watery. Number two, they break too easy when you're trying to lay them out in the pan. These guys here, they stay nice and firm. They cook up nice in the pan. Do the no-cook way, all right? Now, which one should you use? Depends on your pan and how you want it to look. Now this is a 4-quart baking dish, and you can put comfortably 3 across, okay? Or if you don't want to use those and you have these at home, again, put them the long ways here. You get about 3 across. There you go. Now before we start that, let's get to our cheese filling. Now with our cheese filling, we've got 4 pounds of ricotta cheese. Okay, you see it in the store, it ain't going to have a G. It's going to say ricotta, okay, R-I-C-O-T-T-A, but it's pronounced ricotta. Then you've got 2 cups mozzarella, shredded mozzarella. I've got sliced provolone. I got a pound of sliced provolone, which I'm going to lay on top of the cheese once I do the mixture. And then I've got a half a cup of grated Parmesan Reggiano. I got 2 tablespoons of that herbal mixture I used when I made the sauce. And then I got a tablespoon of garlic powder. Why garlic powder? Because the minced, it just doesn't mix as well in the cheese mixture. You put it in, you have to put in too much to be able to get it all across. And we're going to have 1 egg just for a binding feature. So we're going to mix all these guys up. We've got our bowl here. We're just going to put everything in. There you go. One-handed with the egg. Ain't that talent? Provolone is not going to go into the mixture. It's going to lay on top of the mixture. Now let's just stir this up. You want to just stir it up. And now what's the difference between ricotta and cottage? A lot of people, they would use cottage cheese instead of ricotta. Well, number one, sometimes you can't find the ricotta, or it's way too expensive. The difference between ricotta and cottage cheese is little Miss Muffet, she sat on a tuffet eating those curds and whey. Cottage cheese is made from the curds. It's lumpy. Could be dry sometimes too. Ricotta cheese is a smoother, finer textured cheese. It's made from the whey. And it's got a sweeter taste. Cottage cheese can be acidic, maybe a little bitter. Cottage cheese, I used it a little bit, maybe a couple of cups to stretch my ricotta cheese because I couldn't find enough to use. But will I use pure cottage cheese in my filling? No. No, I'm making Italian, I'm not making American. Alright, so we want to mix this all up really smooth. And ricotta cheese is a smoother cheese. So when you lay it on, it will spread a little easier, even though you have all these other things mixed into it. Now, remember that sauce we made yesterday? So we let it rest overnight in the refrigerator. If there was any fat, if there was oil in there, the fat would get solid on the top. You just scrape it off, throw it away. I'm just going to mix this up a bit. Look how nice and thick and rich that sauce is, just from sitting overnight. Now you're going to put up just a layer on the bottom. Oh, don't forget to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So I'm going to put a layer of this on the bottom. Now your pasta, you're going, well, how is it going to cook? How is it going to get soft? It's going to take the moisture not just from the cheese, but from your sauce. And you ever notice when you have Italian food and the next day it tastes even better than when you first had it? That's because overnight those noodles have been soaking up all that, the sauce and the meat and the cheeses, all that flavor. And it's just been impacting and infusing it. And the next day it's like, oh, marron. All right, so we're going to use our long layers here. All right, we just put 3 across. We want to leave a little space in between and around the edges. So we want that sauce, as it's cooking, it's going to bubble up and get those edges of the noodles and cook them. You don't want crispy edges on your noodles. So we're going to take some of the cheese. Now, to do a 4-quart pan usually takes about 3 pounds of the ricotta cheese. Now, the reason I use 4 is because I'm going to stretch it out and I'm going to make a little frozen pan. You take this little pan. This is about an 8-inch loaf pan, and it will take one of these. You can put 3 layers of this size noodle in. If you want to use the wavy, fine. You might have to cut, you're going to have to cut down the edge a little bit. And you just layer it like you do in your big pan here. You wrap it up in your tin foil. Pop it in your freezer. Don't forget to put the date on it. When you put it out, you set your oven to 425 degrees. An hour later, you got lasagna for 2. And we're just going to take that, put a layer of cheese on there. Doesn't that look pretty? Alright, spread it around a little. Leave a little room for that sauce. We're going to take our provolone. Just kind of put 4 slices of it across. And then when you cut into that lasagna, that provolone is going to be melty. You're going to have all these gooey strings. Oh, what a fun thing to do. Alrighty. So now we're going to put a little more sauce on top. And then we put our next layer of noodles. There we go. Now we would just repeat the process. We spread out the cheese again. Now, first time, okay, family history. Now, grew up, Brooklyn, New York. How you doing? So, my family Croatian, but we lived in primarily Italian neighborhood. Now, my family that came over from Croatia, across the Adriatic Sea, from Brzec, was Italy. Where do you think my grandma learned to cook Italian? Across the sea, right? So she brings it with us. Then we moved to Italian neighborhood. I'm learning a little more Italian cooking there. So I moved to Long Island. It's primarily Jewish. So here I am. I got an Italian cooking background. Now I'm meeting Jewish people. So now you hear my voice. I got a New York Italian accent with Jewish thrown in there. Yeah, I'm a unique unicorn. How you doing? So, you know, here I am. Then we moved to Utah with my hubby Roy. He's the one filming over here. And the first time I had lasagna at somebody's house, 4 layers. 4 layers of noodle. Look at that. Look how thick that is. Okay? Smear of cheese. This is not a frickin' bagel that you put a smear of cream cheese. There's a smear of cheese they had on here. A smear of sauce. Now the cheese that was smeared on, pure cottage cheese. No Italian seasoning, nothing. Jarred sauce. They did all their seasoning from the jarred sauce. Oh, I was polite. I threw up when I got home. So then, next time we go have a family dinner with them, I say, hey, I'll bring my lasagna. Blew them out of the water. Let's put it this way. Vesuvius went off. Killed them all. They were killed by this lasagna. They couldn't believe how good it was. Alright, so you're going to have a good time eating this lasagna. Now with this lasagna, you're going to get about 2 layers of cheese. You know, you see those other lasagnas that are just really piled high. That's what you want, go for it. I only do the 2 layers of cheese, and then you're going to have your bottom layer of noodles and do 2 layers there, 1 on top. Because when the pasta's cooking and getting all that moisture, it's going to start to expand. You don't want your pan overflowing because your noodles decide to explode. Alright, we're just going to put this on. And we're going to put a little more sauce on top. Spread it along those noodles there. Look at that. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put tin foil on this. Okay, so remember I told you I use a little extra cheese because I want to make some for later. Okay, what I guess, look at this. These are these 8-inch loaf pans. I got 2 of these. So I could put these in the freezer. Next time my hubby and I want lasagna, because it serves 2, I pull one of these babies out, preheat the oven, 425, put it in for an hour. We got a dinner for 2. Now, I made 6 quarts of sauce. You're going to say, oh, that's so much sauce. What are you going to do with all this sauce? Okay, whatever you don't use for your lasagna, you might put a little cup on the side there for you want maybe a spoon a little extra on as you're eating. You freeze it. You put it into a good heavy-duty freezer and use heavy-duty aluminum foil on these babies too. You don't want to get freezer burn. But on this, the sauce, you get some heavy-duty freezer containers. You portion it out. 2 cups for what you need. Or you have a project in mind, you need 4 cups. Measure it out. Put a label on your container saying what it is, how many cups, the date. Put it in your freezer for another time. The meat sauce is not going to spoil. You can keep it up to 6 months. The same things with the lasagna pans in the frozen. You're in the mood for lasagna. You can have it up to 6 months later. You don't have to go to the supermarket and buy a frozen brand from some name brand or even a store brand. You know what's in here. You made it. You don't know what's in there. Did you ever see the rack of the labels? Did you see the list of chemicals? Are you a chemist? Can you pronounce those things? I can't. I know what's in here. All right, there you go. See you. We still got about 30 minutes left before the lasagna is cooked up in the oven. See you later. Okay, so remember I made 6 quarts of sauce. I used most of it to make the lasagna in the big pan and in the 2 little pans I put in the freezer. Now, this is a heavy-duty Rubbermaid container. This takes 7 cups of sauce. It's got room at the tops for air expansion. Okay, so you put this in the freezer. Again, it could last 6 months. Now, do you like making pizza at home yourself? But you buy the sauce that's in a jar and you squeeze it out. You look at the label. You still don't know what's in it. You can take some of this sauce, divvy it up into little 1-cup containers. You want to make pizza? You pull out a cup of that. There's your pizza sauce. You don't want meat when you do your plain pasta sauce, which is just tomatoes. Or maybe you made a veggie sauce. Do the same thing. You put a cup in a nice heavy-duty Rubbermaid container. You want to make pizza? You pull that sauce out from the freezer, defrost it. You got pizza sauce. There you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, it's been 45 minutes, so we took the lasagna pan out of the oven. We're going to take off the aluminum foil. Be careful, steam's going to come out. You don't want to burn yourself. Alright, now we want to take, this is 2 cups shredded mozzarella plus provolone. So a 1 cup of each mixed together. And you want to sprinkle that all on top. Alright, look at how nice that is. No cheddar cheese. When you put cheddar cheese in your Italian food, you're still not in the head. Alrighty. Now uncovered, we're going to put this back in the oven for another 15-20 minutes. You want all this cheese on top to get melty, maybe brown a little bit on the edges. Alright, see you in about 15-20 minutes. Alright, it has been 1 hour. This is what it's going to look like coming out of your oven. Look at that bubbling. Little brown edges on the cheese there. Now this has to rest. If you started serving it right now, it would fall apart and just be a mess of sludge on your plate. So I'm going to take that tin foil, I'm going to cover it back up, and we're going to have dinner tonight around 6, so it'll be resting for about a good 5 hours. And that way when I cut into it, all the cheese is going to be firm inside, all the noodles will be all puffed up from all the juices from the sauce and the cheese itself. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Alright, we'll see you at dinner time. Okay, it's been 5 hours. It's been settled. We're going to use a nice sharp knife. We're going to cut. A lot of people wonder why when they put just the spatula in and start lifting out, it falls apart. You've got to cut the noodles. Even though they're soft, they're going to stick together. We're just going to run the knife across. You can feel the noodles having a little pull on them. Alright. There we go. And now remember, we have that in 3 sections, so we can just run it down a little. And we know we're not hitting our noodle. Feel for that opening there between the noodles. Alright, here's going to come the fun part. Getting that spatula in there. And lifting out a section. The cheese, the sauce, the meat there. Look at that. That's because you let it rest. So it stayed together. Didn't come all onto your plate like a plop of slop. Food Adventures of a Comfort Cook. www.comfortcookadventures.com. The recipe for lasagna, manicotti, stuffed shells, all in there. Just got to look it up. All right, see you later.